The search is underway for those who are behind these evil acts, and we stand together to win the war against terrorism.
Fyra dagar efter attacken samlades USAs dåvarande högsta politiska ledning på Camp David. Runt bordet sitter de ledare som kommer att bereda marken för de fortsatta insatserna mot terrorismen. President George Bush och vicepresident Dick Cheney. Mitt emot dem sitter Condoleezza Rice, nationell säkerhetsrådgivare. Vidare justitieminister John Ashcroft. Under honom sorterar OLC, Office of Legal Counsel, som ser till att de beslut Vita huset fattar är förenliga med amerikansk lag. Sen försvarsminister Donald Rumsfeld från Pentagon. Och slutligen utrikesminister Colin Powell. Under det här mötet beslutar man att inleda ett krig mot terrorismen.
The United States will do what it takes to win this war. I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
The duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
God bless you all, and God bless America. Every nation in every region now has a decision to make. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
We heard the term war on terrorism, war on terror, global war on terror, and we didn't like it at all. I didn't like it as a former military man, 31 years in the Army, because you don't make war on instruments. You don't make war on methods. You make war on people and states. In fact, we addressed that concern to Dr. Rice and to the White House about this is a very poor set of terminology, and what we got back in essence as an answer was this is politics. You know, this is what the American people understand.
One of the attitudes that I saw inside the government was a view that in order to combat this terrorist enemy, the United States would have to resort to tactics, to practices that would involve getting our hands dirty, that would involve taking decisions that some might question ethically, morally, legally, in order to defeat this terrorist enemy.
Den 7 oktober 2001 inleder USA och dess allierade kriget mot den talibanregim som styrt i Afghanistan sedan 1995. Det officiella målet är att tillfångata al-Qaidas ledare Osama bin Laden och hans närmaste män. Bush tog tillfället i akt att försvara de förhörsmetoder som CIA använde mot sina hemliga fångar.
We knew that Zubaydah had more information that could save innocent lives. But he stopped talking. As his questioning proceeded, it became clear that he had received training on how to resist interrogation. And so the CIA used an alternative set of procedures. I cannot describe the specific methods used. I think you understand why. If I did, it would help the terrorists learn how to resist questioning and to keep information from us that we need to prevent new attacks on our country. But I can say the procedures were tough and they were safe and lawful and necessary.
Idag vet man att Abu Zubaydah utsattes för skendränkning. Han var den första av ett okänt antal fångar.
Concerning waterboarding,
yes.
Do you consider it's torture or not?
I certainly don't. No, it was authorized by the president. It was approved by the U.S. legal community. If it was torture, it would be against the law and we wouldn't be doing it.
I mean, this is nonsense. Waterboarding has been torture since the Spanish Inquisition or before. It's torture. This again, these lawyers picking at that appalls me as a citizen and a soldier. It's torture. Clearly it's torture.
And what the agency did after 9/11 was to make sure that we weren't operating with any kind of a oral okay, where somebody could say, I never said that. What the agency insisted for the protection of its officers is on paper. What do you want us to do? What are we authorized to do? What are we not authorized to do? Once their name's on the line, it makes everybody's in the same boat.
Dokumentet som Michael Scheuer talar om är ett hemligt PM från OLC, daterat den 1 augusti 2002 och undertecknat av Jay Bybee, John Hughes chef. I det som brukar kallas tortyr-PMet försöker man hitta kryphål i det totalförbud mot tortyr som finns i FNs allmänna förklaring om de mänskliga rättigheterna från 1948 och i FN-konventionen mot tortyr som USA ratificerade 1994. Vem som egentligen skrev PMet är ett mysterium. Flera källor hävdar att det var John Hughes och David Addington. Säkert är att tortyr-PMet var adresserat till Alberto González och således till Vita huset.
As I understand, there is the report in the Washington Post that the CIA asked you for a legal opinion about how much pain and suffering an intelligence officer could inflict on a detainee without violating the 94 anti-torture statute, which in my article states you chaired several meetings at which various interrogation techniques were discussed. These techniques included the threat of live burial and waterboarding, whereby is it the CIA that asked you?
I don't recall specifically whether or not I requested this memo or whether or not the initial request came from the CIA or the CIA came to me. I don't recall, Senator.
You have no information, no memoranda that would indicate on an issue of this kind of importance and consequence?
I'm sure we had discussions about it, and ultimately it was accepted because that was the ultimate decision and position of the Office of Legal Counsel.
I PMet från OLC försöker man omdefiniera begreppet tortyr genom att göra det så extremt att mycket få åtgärder passar in. För att kunna kallas tortyr måste smärtan vara så stark att den motsvarar smärtan vid kroppsskada, till exempel organkollaps, nedsättning av en kroppsfunktion eller till och med döden.
What I did was to look to see how the U.S. government had defined the torture committed by Saddam Hussein's troops. And many of the things that were mentioned there, threat of rape, dripping boiling oil on someone's flesh, didn't meet their standard of torture, even though when Saddam Hussein did it, it was clearly torture.
A question that I have is that wasn't it obvious to you that someone can suffer severe physical pain without being in danger of organ failure? I mean, wouldn't the removal of fingers, for example, fall outside the definition of torture?
I don't recall reading that analysis to conclude that it would have to be that kind of pain in order to constitute torture. Obviously, things like cutting off fingers, to me, that sounds like torture.
What are the consequences of openly defying the international ban on torture for the U.S. and the rest of the world?
Well, if an ordinary government tortures somebody, you say, oh, well, this was a violation of human rights. But the standards, the norms remain intact. But when a superpower like the United States violates a norm so fundamental as the prohibition of torture, it tends to degrade the prohibition itself. And so what you find is that governments around the world justify their own torture by reference to what Bush is doing. I myself encountered this. I met with the Prime Minister of Egypt and was complaining to him about the torture of a number of suspects who'd been picked up in the Sinai. And without skipping a beat, he said, well, that's what Bush does.